Deputy Joan Burton.
Thank you, Alaska Corla. I would like to share my time with Deputies Michael D. Higgins and Deputy Arthur Morgan, and you might tell me when 10 minutes has elapsed. We all know that the international financial system is in chaos and that Ireland's economic woes are mounting. Even Fianna Fáil are gradually conceding that. The Taoiseach and Minister for Finance must surely be refreshed, relaxed and ready to roll up their sleeves now that summer has been and gone. But if they don't start to get real about our economy, there is a danger that the autumn Dáil session is going to be a bridge between the government's summer slumber and a winter of discontent. The number one difficulty facing the economy is rising unemployment. Young men losing jobs on building sites are particularly affected. And as we're here in the distinguished presence of two people who have become ministers since the new government was formed, I want to remind the ministers that since their government came into office, 46,000 people have lost their jobs. That's actually your record for about the 140 days that you've been in office. 46,000 job losses. The government must make unemployment public enemy number one. All our reluctant Minister for Finance seems to be able to muster is whinge after whinge after whinge. Not an ounce of sympathy there. In fact, whinging has been the most notable feature of Brian Lenihan's tenure as Finance Minister to date. First, he said before the summer that businesses and consumers, he was hardly a wet day in the job, should stop whinging about rising fuel prices. This, I think, just showed how out of touch he is with the ordinary people of the country. More recently, the Minister for Whinge had the goal to blame the public for the housing bubble. His rationale was, you get what you voted for. And let's not forget the Minister's most recent whinge of last week, blaming Joe Duffy for undermining the Irish banks, when it was the bank's own lax lending which has them in a bind, and the failure of the government to raise the deposit guarantee scheme, as I and the Labour Party have been requesting for well over a year now. Maybe Minister Lenihan realises that government oversight of the banking sector with light-touch regulation has been dysfunctional, and he wanted really to divert the spotlight. Finally, our two Brians have been consistent in their whinging about international factors. They refuse to face up to the fact that our economic downturn is largely homegrown and is largely the fault of this Fianna Fáil government. Whinging, passing the buck and laying off blame are not going to get our economy back on the right track. Bringing the budget forward was really quite a cynical attempt at media manipulation. The Minister has bought a 6-week window during which he can brief the press that, well, at least we're doing something. Brian Lenihan's refusal to release either budget estimates or a pre-budget outlook is wrong. The Minister and his officials, unless they're from the same school of arithmetic that Bat O'Keefe patronises, has to know what the estimates and the likely outlooks are for next year. If they don't deserve to be put in charge of even, beer mat economics, as well. That's where Bat O'Keefe's estimates seem to come from. Brian Lenihan's refusal to release the pre-budget outlook, it's very consistent with the stunt which Charlie McCreevy pulled on decentralisation. It leaves the element of surprise for the Minister on budget day when he can pull rabbits out of hats and has very little ability to analyse what becomes a done deal. Now, in the case of decentralisation, that backfired not so much on the government because it won Fianna Fáil votes, I admit, but it backfired massively on the public finances, where it has cost us untold billions over and above what a normal, ordinary, quality programme of negotiated decentralisation would have done. We're in a serious economic situation, and now's not the time for this kind of theatrics. The Minister should put the economy ahead of his own vanity. He should release realistic estimates for 2009 spending in advance of the budget, as happens every other year. In the information vacuum that seems to be developing, it is difficult to see how the best decisions can be made in the interests of families in Ireland. With financial markets facing their deepest crisis since the Great Depression, there is a growing consensus that the deregulation agenda of the past 2 decades has done more harm than good and must now be reversed. We don't need to ban financial innovation. We need to regulate it so that it does not put the financial system itself in jeopardy. Part of the answer to the current financial crisis is the innovative regulation of derivative financial products. Just this week, the European Parliament adopted a bipartisan resolution on financial services regulation. There is agreement across the political spectrum in Europe that the time for re-regulation is now. In the face of this common-sense consensus, though, European bankers are now fighting a strong rearguard action, aided and abetted, unfortunately, by pliant governments, including our own. Now, we should not take regulation from bankers. It ought to be parliaments who decide what is in the best interest of investment, the depositor, the saver and the lender. The banks prioritise their own profit. They say regulation undermines competitiveness. What they actually mean is that regulation undermines their ability to make mega profits by taking on mega risks with other people's money. We now need sensible regulation to restore financial stability. Just like we have safety standards governing the food we eat and the cars we drive and the medicines we take, we now need safety standards for financial products to protect the stability of the financial system. International financial regulators must be empowered to ensure that financial innovation never again gets so out of hand that it threatens the entire economy. And we haven't yet seen the impact on European banks yet of the results of what has happened in America, because we don't actually know what's in a lot of their balance sheets, how much of the derivative products, much of which are now financial rubbish, how much is in their balance sheets. On the international scene, we need a redesign of the financial regulatory architecture to ensure that any newly devised or existing financial products pass a consumer health check. Banking executives' bonus schemes should not incentivise excessive risk-taking. The masters of the universe, whether down in the IFSC, Wall Street or in the City of London, bonuses and annual payments of 4, 10, 40 million. They're just being paid to gamble excessively and over-riskily with other people's money. We need an early warning system to warn off asset bubbles, and we need an alignment of interests between mortgage lenders and mortgage investors. The crisis of delinquent capitalism has already claimed high-profile victims on Wall Street. The worry is that the financial crisis will spill over to claim its victims on the high street and the main street of every Irish town and village. People up and down this country are facing real problems in the real economy, and they need a government that is the real deal. Economic growth in Ireland is at its lowest level since 1988. Unemployment has topped 6%, and over 2,000 people are now losing their jobs every week. The cost of living is increasing at 4.3%, and 3 times the rate that the government inherited in 1997. Consumer confidence is weakening strongly. Retail sales are falling for the first time since 2004, and the CSO Construction Employment Index is down by 16% in the last 12 months. Entrepreneurs with solid business plans can't access finance, and the government has allowed the deficit in the public finances, and I notice the Minister's careful words. He now acknowledges 5 billion, but we could be heading for $7 billion by the end of 2008. Labour rejects the Conservative consensus that the public finances are the root causes of the problems in the economy, rather than a symptom of them. International factors are making a recovery more difficult, but the root of our problems is the homegrown housing bubble.